Hello, this is a Dungeons and Dragons lore, the Zill. This is AJ Pickett. This is his channel where he discusses D&D lore and monsters. And in this case, the monster basically reproduces the same way the aliens do in the alien films, through rape. And of course, that's the way it was in third edition, but the latest edition, they got rid of it. And AJ Pickett is going to lodge a complaint about this.
Hatches sometime after. Now, you have some options here, as the lore differs a fair bit in the original source material, and there are no details about this for 5th edition at all, which avoids the whole subject of their reproduction like the plague. Actually, let's talk about that for a second. Removal of the reproductive details of the Zill in 5th edition is a form of censorship of artistic work that is deemed offensive or noxious. It's called expurgation, that type of censorship. The last time we saw such widespread and fundamental censorship of the existing lore of Dungeons & Dragons was back in 1989, with the publishing company TSR removing all references to devils and demons from the 2nd edition of AD&D, which is why they are often referred to as Bartizu or Tanari, or simply called fiends rather than devils and demons. Even today, I have to carefully navigate using the word demon in the titles or descriptive text of my videos because I can face a shadow ban on YouTube. The moral panic back in the 1980s actually had the end result of pulling D&D out of a hobby obscurity and saw sales rocket from $2.3 million to $8.7 million thanks to what is known as the Streisand effect, and what is now used by some gaming companies, looking at you, White Wolf, as outrage marketing. Companies such as Wizards of the Coast engage in expurgation to remove problematic material from the game lore, but make no mistake, they're not doing this from a moral standpoint. They're doing it only so far as it is deemed to protect their sales margins. And let's not forget that when Wizards of the Coast first took over the franchise in 1997, the first thing they did was restore the words demon and devil in their new source books. Prominent writer Monty Cook was directed to bring demons and devils back by the president of Wizards of the Coast at the time, Peter Atkinson. History lesson aside, what I'm getting at here is that outrage over the contents of a work of fiction is nothing new to the hobby, and the actions that we're seeing Wizards of the Coast take are exactly what TSR did in response to their own era of moral panic.
No, this is not moral panic. Mr. Pickett, feminists have invaded Dungeons and Dragons, just like they're invading everything else. And this is not going away because this has, as you said, nothing to do with morality. They've taken away rape as a possible monster, method of reproduction because they're against it. They're not against rape. They're just against rape being depicted in a game that guys enjoy. These same women will have rape constantly in the romance novels, which they read. So this has nothing to do with morality at all. This is a way to say, you guys, you cotton pickers, don't get to enjoy what you enjoy. That's what is going on. And it's not going to go away. Because the religious people, the original makers here, they didn't want to deal with those religious people. They didn't want those restrictions on them. But these guys kowtow to women because that's men's nature. And so now these female feminists show up, they give them to whatever they want. And this isn't about making money, because as you've seen, there's been all kinds of movies and television shows and products in general that go tits up. Star Wars has died because feminists destroyed it. And it doesn't matter. So unlike Wizards of Coast, this is not about keeping money or keeping the game going. These femmes will destroy this game and move on to the next.
Direct response to this new era of moral outrage, and it is just as calculated and most likely just as temporary as removing the words devil and demon from the game.
See, this is cope. on your part. This is not temporary. These people are in charge. Remember, the religious fanatics did not own Dungeons and Dragons. They were not in charge of Dungeons and Dragons. They were an outside force. But these feminists, they're in charge. They own it. And they're not interested in the game. They hate the guys who play the game. It's no different than the KKK owning stories that appeal to a Black audience. They do this because they hate the core audience and they want to punish them. So please stop coping.
However you feel about the satanic panic now is exactly how people are going to feel about what is going on today in future decades. Mark my words.
You are wrong. You are wrong. D&D is probably going to get worse. Or not probably, it will get worse. It'll get point where the average guy will have to, what will happen is some other guy will take over and it'll become very niche again. Guys will find some other lowly guy who makes his own company, and they'll start buying his stuff if they're lucky. And that's with the assumption that feminists don't come and brigade his and start it all over again, which is very likely because guys give girls whatever they want. It has been proven, Marvel Comics has proven that male geeks will sacrifice everything they love and all the other male geeks that enjoy their stuff to have girls around. It's a fact. So, AJ, this is wishful thinking on your part. Sorry. This is pathetic. This is more cope.
Thanks for your patience. I just needed to address that issue since this...
Okay, that's as far as we need to go. You are wrong, wrong, wrong. You can't even admit what's going on. As usual, this has nothing to do with morality. This is a permanent situation for guys. The only way it could change if guys, there's a group of guys get together, pull their money, and start a new company. And then they would actually have to admit what's going on to themselves and say, we have to screen people for feminism and keep them out. And they would have to deprioritize having women around. If you want a wife or a girlfriend, that's one thing. But you can't just hire women to say, oh, we just need women around. I'd be very suspicious. Any woman that I would hire if I had a company, I'd have to tell her outright what the rules are, and you're not breaking them. You know, I'd keep a tight lid on that. Because you guys, you D&D guys, you've seen it. You've seen Star Wars get destroyed. You've seen Star Trek get destroyed. You see Doctor Who get destroyed. And countless others. Saw Ghostbusters get destroyed. So you think they're not going to destroy this game? They're already ruining it. Look, I mean, you can't play D&D without having the bad guys. It's that simple. So they, of course, want to pretend that all the races are nice and get along. So it ruins the game. They never do this in the stuff that they love. Romance novels are full of villains and full of rape and full of all the stuff that titillates the girls. And it never gets invaded or changed. Well, it gets invaded because the women own it and they love it. Just a minute. Anyway, that's all we need to say about this. That's all we need to say. So you are in full cope mode. You and everyone in your comment section. Look at this guy. Personally, I think that while supporting the representing defranchised parts of the U.S. population and beyond that is important. There must be a better way to address potentially problematic topics that simply excluding them from conversation altogether. See, this guy's giving them, trying to put out an olive branch, right? People who foam at trigger warnings, you see, this is bullshit. Pickett, excellent comment. You don't know what you're talking about. This is a terrible comment. This has nothing to do with trigger warnings. These trigger warnings don't exist for stuff that women love. There's full of, like I said, romance novels are full of rape and nobody gets triggered. So you guys are unaware of what's going on or what their motivations are, and you don't want to be aware. This is the thing. You don't want to be aware. And now I'm going to make you aware. Thank you. Goodbye.